The Guard Dog Rover is an excellent stratagem that, when used correctly, can help dispense democracy at an industrial level. It's an upgraded version of the Guard Dog. Instead of having the Liberator rifle, it now comes instead with the Last 5 rifle that, when used correctly, will make short work of enemies. So if you are getting pounded by hordes of enemies, this stratagem will be extremely practical. To gain access to the rover, get to level 10. It doesn't cost much to unlock, and because of the utility of it, it should be a priority acquisition, as it will make certain missions or situations far easier to deal with. Its cooldown starts at 8 minutes that progressively gets lowered when you upgrade your destroyer. The rover will use the backpack slot, so it can't be used in conjunction with other backpacks like the personal shield generator or any weapons ammo backpack. However, it leaves free the back weapon slot, so any weapon can be used with it, like the machine gun, the railgun, or even the autocannon or recoilless rifle, as long as a team reload is used. The Guard Dog is an excellent utility stratagem that can be used offensively, defensively, or tactically. Let's talk about its main use. It is essentially about crowd control. Therefore, the potential of it will depend on the tactics employed, loadouts, and team synergies, and of course, enemy types that are available in the mission. It doesn't use any ammo. The only thing that it needs is to recharge for a few seconds every so often. Because it does good damage, but its penetration is essentially irrelevant. It's excellent at any level for fighting against the Terminids, as the unit types deployed en masse in the Terminid missions are vulnerable to it. Against the automatons, it's going to become more limited starting at level 6, as with more difficulty, the less armored units will become almost as common, if not less common, than the most armored ones. For solo play, if you want to do that, it's almost a must at lower levels. The rover will target automatically any close enemy and dispense democracy downrange, jumping from target to target with speed. As it does really decent damage, it will thin out large numbers of enemies that will have low hit points and no armor, namely scavengers, warriors, pouncers, spitters, or automatons like commissars, troopers, marauders, and berserkers. Everything that has no armor, it will require some luck to hit weak spots, or it will take too long for the rover to be used against or become useful in that circumstance. So let's talk about the tactics I tend to employ and tactics that the rover are useful with. I use the rover in a few ways: as a firepower multiplier, to protect my back, using it to kite enemy aggro and thin out hordes, or when dealing in certain circumstances with armored enemies, especially with Terminids. It serves those three purposes at the same time, as it allows to prioritize more important or dangerous enemy units like chargers or bile titans, while the rover is dealing with more close by and less armored units. As a firepower multiplier, it can be used to send hell down choke points or arcs of fire where enemies are. This is especially useful when dealing with hatcheries, as they tend out to have a few ingress and egress points, therefore choke points you can deal with. For the new Vermintide missions, this is also a very useful stratagem, as Vermintide missions for each battery will have 2 or 3 areas where the bugs will come in from, and you can use that as a natural choke point. Or when the batteries are under attack by a large number of enemies, having this utility stratagem will down a lot of bugs in a very short time. One of the great advantages of this stratagem is that it will protect your back and target units close to you. This is extremely important with Terminids, for example, as they tend to get really close and personal and really fast out of nowhere. The rover won't prioritize all the close targets, but it's an extra helping hand in keeping your butt safe. When a group of enemies are close by, move around, kite them so the group can be culled. It's also a great way to allow other team members to target that group from different angles. Remember to understand your surroundings. As you know, at any given time, the situation changes, therefore the way to think about the rover will also need to change on the fly. Let's talk about the loadouts and synergies a bit. Because it doesn't have any penetration capabilities, at higher levels it needs to be used intelligently with the team in mind. There are a few stratagem options to make the loadout cover more bases and the shortcomings of the rover. The railgun, for example. It will have really good penetration to deal with any sort of medium and high level armor while keeping a lot of mobility. The rover will deal with the numbers. The focus can then move to more priority targets. Remember, of course, to change the railgun to unsafe mode so you can penetrate the armor of a charger or the Bile Titan. Another choice currently is the arc thrower. A few full charge shots will immobilize chargers or even Bile Titans. A loadout with these choices may increase the usability in automaton missions as well. But you also need to think of stratagems like the orbital laser or orbital railgun, as they may be required to deal with high priority targets. These types of stratagems are important already, but they will become even more important with the lack of damage against highly armored targets. Also, consider your team's loadout. It could be very well the case that some of the team members already have one rover, multiple ones will have diminishing returns, and will then waste a slot that could be used with something more useful, like a recoilless gun, a turret, or any type of strike. If you already have a rover equipped, consider offering a drop to teammates if their loadout allows. Likewise, check with team members if they can offer you a weapon like the ones I've mentioned, the railgun or the arc thrower if they have one to drop. This way there will be an extra slot for another stratagem that could be useful, therefore increasing the flexibility of the team. While the rover is one of my favorite stratagems at the moment, it comes with some downsides that we need to talk about. The penetration I've already mentioned, it's basically useless, therefore it means that on automaton missions it may not be an efficient choice to expand managed democracy. At difficulty levels 8 and 9, the bot drops are frequent and will come with extremely armored enemies. Bots can fire long range, so you need to keep on the move from the start. It is extremely important, so it will take too much time to drop 2 weapon stratagems. And in that case, because of the difficulty at the moment, with levels 8 and 9, it's much more efficient to have something that has more concentrated firepower, or you can have an autocannon or a recoilless rifle, or you probably need some sort of artillery strike, as the engagement ranges with the rover are far shorter than the ones that need to be in these automaton missions. Also because the autocannon and recoilless rifle will require a backpack slot unless you have somebody to do a team reload. The rover becomes more of a liability than a practical tool in these missions. Another issue that needs to be mentioned is team damage. The rover shoots continually and doesn't stop when anyone, that will be a teammate or yourself, goes through the beam. The damage can become substantial. If the rover downs easily non-armored targets, it will do the same against any Helldiver. It can take just a moment or two to kill one of your teammates. Therefore, if multiple divers are running a rover, the situation can be chaotic, with a significant team damage becoming an issue. Make sure that you are aware of your surroundings and try to work in lines or at a distance from other players. Having more than 2 rovers can become quite a difficult task to manage. Remember, these are just a few ways to use this stratagem. Let us know your opinions and tactics for the rover below.